Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in the life of every individual who carries a greater calling when they begin to feel the weight of separation. It may not be loud or obvious. In fact, it usually happens quietly, like a door that closes softly behind them. Friends seem to grow distant. Invitations stop coming. The crowd they once laughed with no longer speaks the same language of vision, growth, or purpose. And in that silence, questions begin to form. Why am I alone? Why does it feel like no one understands me? Why, after trying to do the right thing, does it feel like I'm being punished with isolation? But the truth is far deeper. Separation is often preparation. When someone is chosen for something greater, whether it be leadership, service, creation, or change, they are pulled away from the noise, the distraction, and the comfort of the familiar. It's not punishment, it's positioning. The loneliness that seems so bitter in the moment is actually a divine classroom, a sacred space where strength is forged, clarity is born, and resilience is shaped. Think of a tree. When it begins to grow, it's surrounded by hundreds of other trees in the forest. But if one tree is to rise above the rest, to reach heights that others can't, it must grow in an open field, away from the crowd, alone, where the wind is stronger, the sun is hotter, and the storms hit harder, but also where its roots go deeper and its foundation grows firmer. The same is true for the chosen ones. Their separation is the soil in which their strength is grown. This process, however, isn't always welcomed. Many fight against it. They chase after the company of those who no longer walk in alignment with their destiny. They try to shrink themselves to fit back into the spaces they've outgrown. But purpose is relentless. It won't let you stay where you were never meant to settle. The calling on your life will keep tugging, pulling you out of places that are too small for your growth, too shallow for your depth, and too familiar for your evolution. In this space of separation, something powerful happens. One begins to hear things they couldn't hear in the crowd. Wisdom becomes clearer. Direction feels stronger. The distractions fall away, and the voice of inner purpose gets louder. It's in this place, this sacred solitude, that gifts are sharpened, vision is refined, purpose begins to burn like fire inside the bones. Many of history's most impactful individuals spent seasons of their lives in obscurity. They were not always celebrated. They were not always understood. But in their isolation, they learned who they were. They learned to stand without applause, to persevere without affirmation, to trust their calling even when the path was dark. That kind of strength cannot be learned in comfort. It is only born through seasons of separation. When we say someone is chosen, we often think of it as a title of honor, and it is. But we must also realize that being chosen comes with a cost. It means being called away from the familiar. It means being prepared in private so that you can stand in public. It means being tested, not to break you, but to build you. And yes, it often means being misunderstood, because the crowd celebrates what it understands. And purpose, real purpose, is rarely simple. But here is the beauty. The very season that feels like isolation is often a doorway to transformation. It is not the end. It's the beginning of a deeper journey. What feels like rejection is often protection. What feels like a pause is often a divine reset. And what feels like being pulled back is just tension before the launch forward. So to those who feel alone, overlooked, or out of place, let this truth settle in your soul. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Your solitude is not a sign of failure, but a formation. You are being trained in the quiet for something that cannot be built in the crowd. This isn't a time to shrink, but a time to dig deep, to cultivate your gifts, to know yourself without the noise, to rise silently but surely. Because when the time comes, and it will come, you will step into the very place you were being prepared for all along. And the world will not recognize the battles you fought in private, the tears you cried in silence, or the nights you wrestled with doubt. But they will see the strength, the grace, and the purpose that radiates from someone who didn't quit in the silence. So hold on. Stay faithful. Keep growing. Even if no one claps for you right now, because separation is not the end of your story. It is the shaping of it. There is a weight that comes with being chosen. One that is not often talked about, yet it quietly follows those destined to impact the world. We speak so often of calling as if it is only a title of honor, a badge of greatness, or a pathway to admiration. But what we rarely address is the burden it brings. Those who carry a calling are often the ones who carry wounds. They walk with brokenness, not because they are weak, but because their strength must be real. Their wisdom must be deep, and their hearts must be softened through the fire of pain, so they can truly lead, love, and serve. When someone is called to a higher purpose, life rarely gives them a smooth path. Instead, they face trials, heartbreaks, betrayals, and burdens that others may never fully understand. This is not by accident. It is by design. The breaking is not punishment. It is preparation. Just as metal must be melted before it is molded, the soul must be broken before it can be built to carry greatness. The crushing of pride, the breaking of self-reliance, the tearing down of illusions. These are not cruel acts. They are sacred ones, necessary ones, because what is shallow cannot hold the weight of a deep calling. Look closely at the lives of people who have touched others deeply. You will find a common thread: pain. Pain that taught them compassion. Loss that taught them value. Suffering that shaped their empathy. The person who listens with gentleness may have once been silenced. The person who stands boldly may have once been pushed down. The one who gives hope to others has likely walked through hopelessness alone. And the one who lifts others with their words may have once had no one to speak life into them. It is through the breaking that character is shaped. Many dream of impact, of influence, of being a voice for others. But to speak with power, one must first speak from pain. To lead others with heart, one must first have a heart that has been tested, humbled, and healed. A person who has never been broken often lacks the depth to truly connect. Their strength may appear real, but it has not been proven. It has not been earned. The breaking process brings a strange kind of wisdom. The kind that can't be taught in books or learned in comfort. It teaches patience. It teaches surrender. It teaches endurance in the silence and trust in the unseen. It breaks the ego and reveals the soul. And in doing so, it makes a person ready to step into a space where their life is not just about their success, but about their service. where their story is not just about their journey, but about guiding others through theirs. Sometimes, the very pain we beg to be taken away is the pain that is shaping our greatest purpose. Sometimes, the heartbreak that nearly breaks us is what opens our eyes to what truly matters. And sometimes, the nights we spend on our knees, asking why, are the nights heaven uses to whisper, "Because you were never meant to stay where you were." There is something deeply sacred about the ones who have been broken and didn't give up. They may walk with a limp, but it's a limp of strength. They may carry scars, but those scars have stories. They may cry in private, but they rise with purpose. They are not soft because they are fragile. They are soft because they have learned that gentleness is power too. The world needs more of these people. People who don't lead from pride, but from pain transformed into purpose. People who don't speak to impress, but to impact. People who have been through the valley and still choose to bring light. People who know what it feels like to be forgotten, and so they never forget others. These are the truly chosen ones, not because they were the loudest, the strongest, or the most admired, but because they were willing to be broken, so they could become whole. So if you find yourself in a season where everything is falling apart, where the weight feels too heavy and the loneliness too loud, remember this: you are not being destroyed. You are being shaped. You are being made into something deeper, something stronger, something unshakable. You are being prepared to carry something not everyone can carry. And when the time comes, you will look back and see that the breaking wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The burden you carried made room for a purpose you couldn't yet see. The pain you endured gave birth to a compassion the world desperately needs. And the silence you sat in gave you a voice that others will one day listen to. So don't curse the breaking. Don't rush the process. Let it do what it came to do. Because in the hands of purpose, nothing is wasted. Not your tears, not your trials, not your broken moments. All of it is being used to make you ready. Ladies and gentlemen, the chosen ones are not perfect. They are not always celebrated, but they are always prepared. Through fire, through storms, through breaking, and in time, they become the ones who help others stand again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are walking through the quiet corridors of loneliness, if life has broken you in ways words cannot explain, if you've been asking, "Why me?" then perhaps you are not being punished, but trusted. Trusted with a depth few are willing to carry. Trusted with a process that will not just change you, but will prepare you to change others. You see, the path of the chosen is not paved with applause or ease. It is built through testing, forged in fire, and strengthened by silence. But when the time comes, when the preparation is complete, the world will see not just a survivor, but a leader. Not just a wounded heart, but a healer. Not just a voice, but a vessel. So hold on. Not just to hope, but to purpose. Let your isolation be your classroom. Let your breaking be your becoming. Because those who are broken for a reason are never left empty. They are filled with strength, vision, and a quiet authority that only the fire can give. And when you rise, and you will, don't just rise for yourself. Rise for the ones still in the fire. Rise for the ones who think they're alone. Rise as proof that even the most broken stories can be used to build something beautiful. Because in the end, being chosen doesn't mean being above the struggle. It means being shaped by it for something greater than yourself. Thank you.